Thank you, Ms. Oldham. Any other comments? Appreciate that, thank you. Brings us to number 6, discussion and action items. We got to close the public comments? Okay. Do we entertain a motion to do that, or what?
No, you just
Close it?
I hereby close.
I hereby close the public hearing for the sale of EDC-owned building located at 212 West Park Avenue. Is that good enough?
Yep.
Okay. Next item is the discussion and action items. Number 1, discuss and take possible action on the sale of 212 West Park Avenue.
Yes, Mr. President, as discussed, we would like to see Mama C's opened at 212 West Park. The things that the board talked about that we now can talk about in open session were that they would be, the Mama C's and the Pinas would be responsible to create 5 jobs. They'd be open within 12 months after approval from council, because you have to have first reading, second reading approval, and after our approval, which may happen in a moment. And then a yearly review by the EDC of the restaurant, and just to make sure everything's progressing. And I did say oh no, I did not. 5-year, all terms must be maintained for 5 years after the opening. And finally, they're to give quarterly progress reports to the board.
Correct. So does that mean when we go and inspect, do we get a free meal or something? Okay.
Joking.
Any further discussion? Anybody? I need a motion to discuss and take possible action on the sale of 212 West Park Avenue.
So let me ask one more question.
Go, Ron.
So I'm always worried about restaurants. I mean, I love to see them come into business, but I love to see them stay in business. So if the economy goes south and they can't keep this place open for 5 years, then what happens to that property?
There will be a reverter clause, and the EDC will get the building back.
Oh, well, I don't even want that.
Yeah,
But
which
I
is
guess
not
that's the
what
best
we
can
want.
do.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's true.
thank you. I'm ready to make a motion that we approve this.
Mr. Bachman makes a motion that we approve this. Do I have a second? Mr. McGinney, have a second? Call the vote. All those in
Mr.
favor?
President,
Any more discussion?
I just have one question
okay,
in
go
discussion. I apologize for stepping on your feet there. And the motion is for the 5 jobs created to be open within 12 months of final approval of council, yearly reviews by the EDC, quarterly progress reports by the Pinas to the board, and all terms must be maintained for 5 years after opening. That's your motion, sir?
Yes, that's the motion.
Thanks.
Oh, and we sell the property for $10.
For $10.
Yes.
Right. Ron, do you want to,
Can't get 11?
can't get better than that? You want to stay with your motion?
Yeah, what he said is my motion. That's right. That's
Okay.
the details.
Mr. McGinty, you still second that? I call the vote. All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Looks like that passes unanimously. I'll be looking forward to maybe some good food. Appreciate that. Second item, discuss and take possible action on the business improvement grant. Talk about good. And as I understand it, we're going to table that one.
Yes, sir. We just couldn't finish with the final estimates, and so we'd like to table it. I did talk to Trent today, and he would be delighted to bring it next month.
And so he'll be here in person there next.
He will. He will. He was planning on being here tonight, but it became a moot point.
Understand. Item number 3, discuss an update on Main Street updates and upcoming events.
Yes, Mr. President, Maria Lopez, our new Main Street manager, is here to
Thank you,
talk to the
Marina.
board. We had a very successful Kid Fest, which she'll tell you about.
Okay.
I had to lower the mic here. Hi, everyone. Maria Lopez, new Main Street coordinator. And I'm here to give you updates for our successful Kid Fest that happened this weekend. Let me lower it a little bit more. So we had a very good turnout. I would say approximately about over 500 attendees, probably more. I'll try to get that number, an accurate number later, but I kind of wanted to bring it to you all today. The event itself drew families across the community. It created a lively and engaging atmosphere in downtown. I'm also going to be working on providing all that content for you all so you all can see that in social media, maybe in our website once we get pictures and all that. And the event highlights are we had excellent community participation. It was my first event, but I saw it myself. I felt people were enjoying themselves on a Saturday afternoon. We were a little bit nervous about rain, but we were okay. Rock the House rentals, which is the inflatables, they were very good and efficient. They have quick service, and they also provided a very smooth experience. I personally witnessed long lines at each department, which is very good. That's what we want to see. The kids and the families were very excited, just waiting to see what each department was going to offer, which brings me to a later idea of what I'll talk about in just a little bit. The community also enjoyed the photo opportunities. I felt that was very important so we can show everybody, you know, hey, this is Kid Fest, this is what Freeport has to offer. And then just looking ahead, I do plan to maintain Kid Fest as an annual event because it is very well established and I feel the community does enjoy it. I will consider inviting nonprofit organizations at a future event so that way, you know, we can get more involvement in that area. And to add more excitement, maybe add some prizes for the community. Add contest, something that could reward them for coming to our event. So we can look at that in the future. And overall, Kid Fest was very strong in showcasing participants, like I said, our departments, and providing resources for them as well. And what was the one thing I said I was going to come back to later? I don't have the exact number. I've been wanting to get that number, but those hot dogs, they went fast. By the time I looked, they were already, you know, done with that booth. We also had the free snow cones for that going on as well, and I announced it throughout the day. And then future events. So I know everyone's been asking me about future events. I am working on that, and I can't wait to share with you all at a later meeting, probably the next one. I feel that you all are gonna really love it. We're already in September, so the year's going by so fast. I just started in August, so I'm pushing myself to make this happen at least for this year, and then get prepared for 2026. I think it's gonna be very, very good. Thank you.
The thing that you were going to talk about, was it the business?
No,
Oh,
it
no,
was
okay,
something
okay.
else,
No.
but it just passed my mind. But I'll
That's
make
okay.
sure to bring it next time.
It's all right.
Any questions? Oh, yes, sir.
One quick question. Welcome to the city, by the way.
Thank you.
Are y'all, or you and the board, going to consider bringing back some of the events that got put off to the side last year because of all the upheaval going on?
Yes, so
Primarily, I'm talking about things like the Mardi Gras and the
Mardi
various
Gras, Cinco de
parades.
Mayo, Dia de los Muertos. So I am creating a draft for next year events. However, I'm trying to create that draft first. That way we can decide together and I can have some feedback from the board as well. But yes, those events have already been brought up. It's Cinco de Mayo, Dia de los Muertos, and Mardi Gras. And Kid Fest, of course, is one that we're going to continue to have. And we'll talk about fun things coming, and I can't wait to share it at the next meeting.
And
Yes.
and just if I may tag on to that answer, we're, as you recall, we're evaluating the events that we have and making sure they're providing a return on investment, certainly like Kid Fest just did, and then slowly, adding more to balance workload in normal Main Street duties along with promotional event type things.
Any more questions?
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Break it open.
I was waiting to have a more concrete, presentation for you all because it's something very exciting. So I want to create that excitement for you, but I can talk a little bit about it. So we are in the works in bringing a Christmas tree lighting to downtown. So I'm working right now on contacting vendors, finding the perfect one that can work with the city of Freeport to get our first official 30-foot Christmas tree. I am working in getting an official Christmas tree lighting ceremony that involves city officials, the community, of course, and adding on to that would be a Christmas vendor market, and other freebies like we did at Kid Fest that we can do for our community as well. So we'll talk more about that a little later once it's something more concrete, and I'll create a presentation or show it to you more so you can get a visual of what we're gonna get in downtown Freeport.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so adding on to that, we have approved in the budget for this. We don't even have to make a motion
No.
to do that.
Mhm.
But should we wait for Maria to kind of put the little
How soon?
closure on it?
Okay, I understood we need it within 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Yes, so the only reason why it's 2 weeks, it's because the time that it is right now. It's September, and this is something that's has to happen for December. So then the vendors that I've been in contact with suggested for this to be approved within the next 2 weeks because they have to order that tree for us.
Right.
So that's why it is recommended because of that time frame, short time frame that we have. But we want to make it happen for this year.
And I feel like I'm letting her hang out in the wind, and I shouldn't do that. Let me give some context to this. Just about a week ago, maybe a little over a week, Dan, because we think about this stuff 24 hours a day, sent both myself and Maria a text message with a video, and Dan always tells me it came from his wife, so I'll give her credit. And sent us a video, and we did something very similar in Gladewater, a big Christmas. We'd like to kind of slowly walk towards having, horse-drawn carriage downtown, perhaps on one day, like a Christmas event day. But the first thing is to get the tree, get a nice tree lighting going on, maybe work with the post office to have a red mailbox. We did this in Gladewater where kids would drop their letters off to Santa, things like that, and then each year add. Both Mark and I talked to Lauren this afternoon, and we would not need a motion because this is in our marketing budget. We have $40,000 in our marketing budget for this kind of activity. What I would need is just if we want to so move. We don't need a motion. We can't make a motion according to the way the agenda's written, but we can make a statement in principle that the director shall make this happen. And then if we wanted to, we could reaffirm that with a vote next month, a retroactive vote.
So what I think we should do is give you the affirmation that you can take that money so she can get things done within 2 weeks. We make this on an agenda item
Next
for
month.
Next time, so we can
Yep.
ratify that and
Correct.
take a vote on that. Is there any,
I
Ron,
think
you-
Lauren might be trying to say something. Was that
Okay.
Lauren?
Yeah, that was me. Yes, that is correct. We'll ratify it next month. All Robert needs is a consensus that you guys are okay with this.
That's it. I mean, it'll just be a nod vote.
Yeah, you can just ask everybody.
Yeah,
who wants-
correct. Yeah, just,
Palmer, you
yeah,
okay
I'm
with
in,
that?
I'm in, I'm in.
Garrett, you okay with it?
I'm good with it.
For the,
Sandra?
to the participation?
No, what we're gonna do is, since there's a time frame involved in this for 2 weeks, so we're all gonna say that he can give her that money to do what she needs to do as an
For the marketing?
appropriation.
Okay,
And then next month, we'll put that as an agenda item to ratify what we thought we were gonna do. Does that make sense?
yes,
Okay.
I'm good.
Kim?
Yes.
Yes,
We're
sir.
good? All right, we're good. So we're done with that.
Yeah, one comment on this, we did this about 5 or 6 years ago. I actually made a tree downtown, and it was a very big thing, but it kinda went by the wayside, so I'm excited it's coming back.
Yes, us too. It'll be something great.
City has it somewheres.
We do want to establish it. We want this to be an annual thing. We don't want it to go away. What we want is to attract people to Freeport, and we'll make it look nice and presentable.
Yeah, I thought we'd call it the Tyner tree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you so much, Ms. Lopez. I remember it. All right, moving on to item number 4, discuss and take possible action on a fiscal year 2025-2026 mowing contract.
Yes, Mr. President, we have Gardner Campbell and Joe here tonight for presenting bids on the mowing contract. As you know, the mowing contract will expire on September 30th. I wanted to give both of them an opportunity, if you so please, to address the board.
Okay, Gardner, come on up. I notice you don't have on your mowing boots.
Been a long day. Gas line, tennis shoes. I did turn in another bid this year to pick up, see if we could get the bid process on mowing the EDC properties, the 8.8, various other properties y'all have. Did put in there, same as last year on the Skinner Street, I think it is, you know, what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do on that property. It might be bypassed and I don't even know it by now. I don't know if somebody else has control of that property where the new homes were being built, and I see they've cleaned up a lot, but I really don't know what the process, but putting our bid in, want to clean up, get the fence lines done again, and get the waterfront cleaned. You got any questions, anybody?
It's not a question, but I do have a comment to make. During the
It's
growing
not up here.
season, when it's raining, every other week's just not enough. It
No,
gets
sir.
really shaggy out there. And
Needs
I
to be
think-
mowed weekly.
Right.
Our contract is a weekly mowing. You know, you have your off season, that's a different story, picking up sticks, picking up tree limbs that fall, having a proper place to dispose of them, getting it shaped up for future customers that might be interested in buying the property, so it looks good when they show up. They can see what they got, and, you know, we maybe even work on doing a little bit more to that waterfront while we're out there and making suggestions on how we can get future progress going on, maybe some removal of some of the other off-sightly looking parts of it. We got some power poles up there that could be pulled up and probably taken over to city barn and stored for when y'all need temporary service in different places, because them are 200 amp temporary poles is what they used to be called for center point. But there's a lot to be done down on that waterfront just to really make it look a little better. Now, I'd like to be the one that does it.
Mr. Campbell, if I may, your bid would be $57,000 with a one-time $2,000 first-time cleanup.
That's correct. And it would be up to y'all. I'd like to see a dumpster brought out there, where we'd have somewhere to put debris and things that need to go away. Maybe a one-time dumpster, normal cost on it's $800, $860. I think it'd be a valuable part to really doing a good cleanup and getting it all in place.
What is
Yes, sir.
57,000?
It's 57,000, and he was
One
asking
time $2,000 cleanup.
one-time $2,000 cleanup, plus maybe $800 for, is that a 20 or 30 yard for 800?
That's gonna be a 30.
30,
Yeah.
okay.
That's at 30, you can get up and with front end loaders and load
Yeah,
into them.
right. Any other questions?
Mr. President, we also have Joe Garcia from At Ease Services, who is our current contractor. I think he would like, I'm pretty sure he wants to speak also.
Yeah,
We out of questions for me?
that's it.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
It is. So we currently hold the contract for the mowing for the front waterfront, a couple other properties though. The one he was referring to is the 4 houses, I guess, that was in litigation for a while, so we really couldn't, we kind of had our hands tied, but when they did remove the 2 houses, they destroyed that property. There's debris, metal shavings, everything's kind of scattered throughout that property, right there on the avenues. So if we do get a chance to go and renew our contract, then we would ask that somebody goes out there and actually looks, and maybe we get a skid steer and push some of that debris off to the side, because it's damaged equipment. When I know they did it during the rain, and they brought in some heavy-duty trailers, they made some pretty significant ruts. So I don't know if anybody's been out there to actually look at it, but there's concrete, debris, and it's kind of a hazard to continue to do it without, when it rains, it exposes more of the material that they just kind of scattered throughout the property. So that's something else that we have to take into consideration. We do have the equipment to do it, but like I said, we would have to alter the bid to see if that'd be feasible to move that debris to at least a centralized location, let the grass regrow and kind of get it to a more sightly, I'm guessing, a piece
Okay.
of property.
I appreciate that. Any other questions?
And currently, your bid is 77,000. How much would that alter the bid?
So that property, we'll have to go out and kind of see where we can centralize that location. Like I said, all that material has concrete, metal siding that they did, the plywood. So if we go into, we look at it and say, hey, put it here, there's a connex in the back, right? There's mounds of concrete out there in the back, there's divots. So it would have to be kind of seeing what the game plan would be to get all that stuff into the central location. At least make it more safe to mow it and not have debris fly out at you at any given
Yeah.
time.
I've seen it. I know what you're looking at.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of what, when we initially started the contract, it wasn't there. And I know they finally got approved to do some demolishing. So when they did, they kind of just moved it from side to side.
saw
And
it.
it's kind of, we're trying to do as best we can, but like I said, you're exposed every time it does rain. It kind of erodes some of the concrete that's already been buried, brings that back out. So we're kind of having to readjust.
Okay.
But in hindsight, we do currently hold a mowing contract for the riverfronts, anything like that. So anybody got any questions as far as that?
What was the price again? Was it 77?
So 77 is what we submitted last year. That was our price for last year to maintain the properties. From my understanding, y'all just sold the 212 West Parkway. So that's going to come off the EDC, I'm guessing, mowing contract.
It probably will.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Any other questions? Joe, thanks, man.
sir.
Appreciate you. I'll entertain a motion.
If, Mr. President, if that did come off the property 212 that we're talking about, it would be $50 per mowing would come off the total. But again, we need to I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse. We passed it tonight, but it's still got to go to council.
Okay.
I have a question real quick. I think you said it, David, about not every 2 weeks is really during summertime is not enough. So on, Gordo, how do you say it? Mr. Campbell, is yours every 2 weeks or is it weekly?
We mow weekly.
So,
We've got 9 properties we mow right there.
okay.
And we normally mow every Thursday and Friday.
So is that proposal of the 57, is that weekly?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, it's 4 mowings a month, 5 week, 4 mowings a month. If it's a 5 week, we hit it to 5th. Doesn't change prices, doesn't do anything. We're already there, we're already doing it.
Okay.
I guess I would say it needs, and I hate this is a little conceited, but I wanna see y'all's property look like the block of properties and the other properties that I own in that neighborhood. I want the fence lines done, I want the trees clean, I want things picked up and put in dumpsters that need to be, but I want it, that's one of the diamonds of Freeport is that waterfront.
okay,
And yes, we're mowing weekly,
weekly, okay.
yes.
And the one we have for right now for 77, is that weekly or bi-weekly?
That's currently bi-weekly, with 2 months being the non-dormant months, and that's once a month.
Okay, all right, thank you, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other discussion?
So what do we need to do from here?
We need, I'll entertain a motion for the mowing contract. What do you need? We could just, Robert, we gotta do each one separately, or? I think it's simple, just discuss and take possible action on the mowing contract.
Which one you?
I'll entertain a motion.
So are we trying to choose between these two?
Basically, yes.
Choices, yes.
I'll make that motion to award it to Mr. Campbell, because it will be weekly and $20,000 less than what we currently pay.
For the sum of 57.
Yes.
50, Mr. President, it would be 59, it's 57, but
Right.
he's got that one
The extra
time.
2,000, yes.
2 plus the dumpster, got it.
And I second that.
And David second.
And Mr. McGinty second that. Call to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay. Passes unanimously. Mr. Campbell, you're our new mower guy.
Thank y'all. I really appreciate it.
See ya.
See me out there mowing.
Yeah.
Discuss and take possible action on wayfinding project number 5.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Miller. I'm with Clark Condon Associates. We're a landscape architecture firm.
Hold on just a sec.
Oh, you're still, okay.
Just for a second.
Okay. I mean, this works fine too. I can do it. I may put this over here. Let me know when you're ready, President.
Okay, I think we're ready now.
You good? Okay. Again, my name is Jason Miller. I'm a principal at Clark Condon Associates. We're a landscape architecture firm. And Rachel and Robert had contacted us a couple times about talking about this project. They asked me some few questions, and I was giving some feedback on some other projects we've done before like this. And they asked me to come give you some feedback and give you some information about our firm, some feedback on some of the projects we've done like this, as well as some kind of different information and different things about how these projects work. So I kind of put together quite a bit of information through here, so I'm gonna kind of flip through this and stop me anytime you want to ask any questions. But hopefully this gets you guys what you need to potentially move forward. Because I think there was some questions about whether you're just doing signage, or does it need to go further, I think is where the whole conversation was going. So again, like I said, we're Clark Hunt Associates. We're a landscape architecture firm. We've been doing this for 40 years. This is our 40th year in business. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna roll it or click it? There you go. Okay, all right. Maybe. There we go. So again, like we do a lot of different types of projects, ranging from commercial projects, mixed-use projects, parks, even downtown projects. But a lot of the things that kind of focus on this kind of work, as for branding and identity and wayfinding and signage, kind of fall in that streetscape category in the bottom there. So we have a kind of diverse portfolio of projects that we get into from all over the place. The process, because this first part's more about us and how our process works. So a lot of times when we start a project like this, we work with you, whoever the stakeholders are, whoever's going to be involved in the project, to really define what that means. Like, what are you really looking for? And I think that's maybe part of what this conversation is about today, so that we can maybe help in any kind of information you may need. Then once we define what that program or that project really is with you guys, we work to design from that point relative to what your end goal is. And then the next step from there is what we talk develop is you're producing documentation for that to be installed or built or installed in the real world. And then lastly, obviously, we're getting it built. So you'll see in some of these examples that we're going to show in here how that process has happened. I know one question that came up during the conversations that we had was about brand, because I asked questions about, because you were talking about wayfinding and signage, and I asked, well, what are you basing that on? Do you have a current standard, a current brand standard, a current logo, things like that? What are you basing the wayfinding and signage on? So I dropped this in because we've talked about this before with a bunch of different groups, because people maybe have a misnomer about what brand really means. So when you look at really defining it, it's not really a person or a product. It's more about how people feel or the perception of what those services or those things are. And that quote there kind of explains it a little bit better. And realistically, if you think about it, and that's why I put this image on here, when you think about brands like that, they're pretty iconic in the sense that as soon as you see, it doesn't even have to be the name. You see the mark, for example, that you know what they do, you know what they are about. So that's really what it comes down to when you talk about brand. It's about the feeling you're getting from whatever you're creating for. Another part when it comes to these, a lot of times, especially when you're talking about public entities or semi-public entities, you end up dealing with public engagement. We've done that a lot on different ways with jurisdictions, EDCs, things like that. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. We've done it through, again, like task force or city staff or focus groups, things like that. And we've done it in forums like this, or we've done it in forums like workshops, all kinds of different ways. So there's plenty of ways to get that feedback and that information from the bigger group that can be incorporated into what you're looking for. So the next few slides are going to really kind of go through some projects that we've done that show some implementation from start to finish on different projects for different places. So like you guys, for Port Arthur, we did a very similar project where we did some branding and identity, visioning, theming with them. We developed a family of projects. So we came up with that vision. That's that first piece, that define piece of it. The design piece, we came up with a family of signage that they wanted to use based on the brand that they created. Then you get to, how do we make that happen in the real world? So you see the bottom left is some documentation on how to make that work. And then ultimately it gets installed. So they've gone through the whole process on this first set of projects for them for doing similar to what you're talking about when you're talking about wayfinding and signage, but they started at the beginning with a whole exploration about how the brand really works and how they wanted to go forward. And they've installed either the wayfinding monument signs all the way down to like City Hall, parks, things like that. on their first installation. We did the very same thing for the city of Pearland and their EDC, actually. This was all through their EDC. This was the last project, the final one, the biggest one we did with them on the branding and identity piece, which we actually started in like 2014 with them. It took us, I mean, this one ended in 2024, so it was almost 10 years from start to finish. Not with just this project, but we did a bunch of different branding identity pieces and parts for them. But this is the same thing. We developed a family of signage and wayfinding. But what you'll see in a lot of these, it's not just putting signs up or monuments up, right? It's about creating place or creating a sense of arrival. And there's things that support that. That's not just a sign or a monument. So they have obviously signs and monuments all over the place, and they are obviously fond of their pair. But again, it's one of those things that how do you support the signage that you're trying to use? We've done it for districts as well. Hobby Area Management District, which is right around Hobby Airport. And their first project they looked at was Broadway. They incorporated streetscape improvements along with their signage and wayfinding. And then they turned it even their brand and their standards were even translated into their bus stops and things like that. So it can go a long way to tell the story that you're trying to tell throughout the city. Because if, for example, a sign is in one location or a bus stop's in one location, but if you have a standard that's associated with that, that's say a landscape associated with it, that carries through the whole thing as you put these projects in. We're currently working with Texas City, and you'll see a lot of these happen with the redo of a lot of the TxDOT work that's going on. Like they're redoing 45 through all the way down to Galveston right now. So they're about to finish most of the 45 through there, and the goal is to implement some of this in the next year or so with Texas City along I-45. So again, they did the same thing. They developed a brand, they developed a standard for that, and they're supporting it with landscape statements and lighting statements and hardscape and pedestrian improvements and things like that. Simple landscape statements work too. So their rival to Hobby Airport, this was not Hobby Area Management District, but for HAS, the airport system, they wanted to improve just the overall look and feel of their rival to the airport. This is also about the same time they did the new signs what they have with the plane coming off. They were installing those about the same time. So you can see like, it's a much better arrival sequence when people are coming from other places or you're coming home. Another district we worked with is the Energy Corridor. They were doing the same thing along the same lines where they're looking at ways to improve their areas, but also provide a way for wayfinding signage, monumentation, gateways, things like that. So they came up with an interesting family for this, and they were also really interested in looking at, because if you drive through there, I-10 is huge, like it's 20 some lanes or something like that, and you go underneath those. Comment? Question?
Lauren, did you have a question?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I just want to make sure we caught him. It's so wide, it's really dark under there. So they really focused on kind of lighting those areas because it runs through the heart of that district. One of your neighbors right up the road, Angleton, we looked at it looked the same kind of thing with them. And then the interesting thing with them, they had some stuff that they had already done and installed. So the question is, how do we incorporate some of the stuff that they've done? How do we look at upgrading brand? How do we incorporate that to where it's more unified throughout? So again, we created families for wayfinding signage, banners, location signs, pedestrian and vehicular, and then kind of showed examples of how that could be applied. Angleton has not done any new ones at this time. They have done some of the brand application on, say, like the water tower. I think it's been done. And I think they added the first sign at the new park they built recently. I threw this in because it's more of a deep dive to, I think, what you guys are talking about. So I did a presentation for a conference a while back, and it was about right-of-ways mainly, but it really took into consideration, there was 3 of us that spoke. It was myself, centered around branding, identity, landscape, improvements to the streetscapes, the traffic engineer that talked about why some of these things are important relative to improvements to streets. And then Matt Buchanan, who's the head of the EDC in Pearland, because he was one of the ones we did a lot of this stuff with. So he talked about why they did it and how the economics really panned out by improving some of these areas. So I'll flip through this pretty quickly because there's a lot of slides here. But it was more, this is kind of the things we focused on, was about placemaking. The engineer really talked about functionality. We talked about brand. He talked about the economics of it. And then the big one that's always seems to be left out, but I think you just talked about it a little bit just now in the previous conversation, maintenance is always a big thing. So it's great to spend millions and millions of dollars on capital improvements, but if you don't think about how much you have to invest in the back end to maintain it, it's not worth spending the money up front, in my opinion. So that went through all this, but planning of this out, I think you guys have looked at some of this when you did your strategic planning a few years ago, 2019, I think is when I saw. So there's a bunch of different ways, programs and guides. There's ways to get different money aspects, but guides to how to do streetscapes and identity and things like that. Again, same thing, improvements to the airport. TSU's campus did the same thing, but it's more about pedestrian oriented, but you can see the implementation of signage and graphics and things like that go with it. The traffic engineer really focused on this big thing is when you're doing streets, and they're really focused on infrastructure, and they're focused on traffic and how to get people from place to place, right? But if you think about looking at those two pictures, what's the best way to design a street? Is it better to keep everybody involved and think about the people that are walking alongside of that road when there's no sidewalks, or do you think about including everyone so that you have a more unified and multimodal transportation corridor? So he really talked about, but that first road you could think about, that's a high-speed road. The higher the speed of the car, if a pedestrian gets hit, the more apt they are to pass away. So you start to think about, in certain areas when you're doing these kind of things, do you want to think about slowing the road down because you're encouraging more pedestrians to be there? And one comparison he did that it goes to some of the design standards that the engineers have is they rate the level of service on roadways. And you'll see on the next slide, it's kind of funny if you think about this. What's considered a passing grade and what's considered a failing grade, depending on what your perspective is. So on the left, in an engineering standpoint, that's a level A because you have free flow of traffic, right? But it's an F service for economic level development because there's not really any access to anything other than going from point A to point B, correct? So then if you go to the other one, on an engineer's standpoint, he's going to say that's really an F because you're really slowing down the traffic to, getting through that space. But on an economic standpoint, you have a high impact of people being there and buying things and eating and things like that. So the real question comes in is how do you marry those two together, right? That's where the sidewalks and bike lanes and all those things and transportation corridors come in and that's what he was talking about with widths of walkways. And if you look at this picture specifically, with anything other than a 5-foot walk or more, you can't really walk side by side with your significant other, for example. So this guy's walking in the street while his wife's walking on the sidewalk. So good for him because otherwise you probably wouldn't be going home, but that kind of thing. And then introduction of different ways of doing bike lanes, encouraging bus routes and things like that. You guys might not have that much of an issue with buses and things like that at this point, but maybe more about getting from longer distances. And then this is where they were talking about how you make the value of those spaces change. Like this and this are the same space in downtown on Bagby, for example. They did some improvements that were more whimsical and things like that, where it created a much better placemaking experience than just walking along that same building. When it comes to brand, so looking at Hobby, for example, that's what we were looking at here. We looked at, large monumentation for wayfinding for coming in on, say, highways and things like that, down to street signage. They looked at brands and then how you could apply all that. And that's back to what we were showing in those previous images. This is how they talked about doing it all the way even down to the bus stops. They even created their own bus shelter because Metro, for example, doesn't do bus shelters at every stop, right? So they even created their own mini shelter, which is this one down here, and they put it at every stop that didn't have a Metro stop. So they're increasing their brand by getting it out there. And then they even partnered with people like the communities that surround their district by working with them on, hey, in our corridors, if we'll kind of supplement any signage or branding that you want to do for your neighborhood, for example, but you have to kind of do it to our somewhat of a standard. So they're kind of reaching out and pulling everybody together to create that look and feel for that group. Pearland was a big one. So this one, again, Matt talked a lot about this, but we created this whole family all the way from the large signs, and the one's not even shown here is the pears. That was the last one we did, but even down to, they have some districts inside of Pearland, the Lower Kirby District, for example, where they have a lot of medical and facilities and warehouses and stuff like that they created. So they have a large array of signage application, but they also did landscape and pedestrian implementation in parks associated with it, connecting their parks and stuff with that with signage as well. But again, this started back in 2014. We did the original kind of master planning and strategic planning with them on how to brand and do signage. This is one of the first ones we did to this level, and it culminated into the 288 project that you saw if you drive through there. And that's what this was being installed back in 2023, 24. And you can see just the improvements, and he really talks about, so this is where Matt talked about the economics of it all. So again, they're pretty big, as you see 288 comes up through there, but their big thing was they have that corridor along 288, they have a reinvestment zone of TERS as well, where they're putting, I think, 1 cent tax back in to managing that corridor to provide a pleasing place to go and to arrive. So, that's what he was talking about with, bringing different companies to it. That's where that Lower Kirby District, they really thrive because it's right off that corridor as this corridor is being improved. He uses this quote a lot, and if you all know who Gerald Hines is, Hines Development, or if you've seen him, he talks about that better aesthetics and better create better economics. So if everybody likes where they're going or likes what they see, they're willing to stay and spend the money. That's pretty much what they're getting at. But then he really got into, this is what he was trying to impress upon, and their, strategic plan was, this is what their streets and 288 looked like before we started. And then he compared, for example, hey, this is what Sugarland and this is what other places do on their roadways, and this is what we have. So,
Hey, Jason.
Yes, ma'am.
Real quick, you've gone over a lot of information here, so just giving my board a chance to digest. Out of these plans that you've shown us, you've shown like Pearland, Angleton, Port Arthur, and you said that each one of these kind of had a different approach to it.
Yep.
Which type of approach would you think would be the best for our city?
I think it depends on what you guys want to do, and that's, let me just jump to the end of this because I think we were almost done anyway. So I think there were some questions originally about timing, money, how does this work? So if you're really trying to start from the beginning and develop a whole brand idea concept like Port Arthur did or Pearland did and things like that, you can start to see here, we looked back at how much the design fees were for certain things. The early stuff was some of the master planning for it and how long it potentially took. It depends on what the projects were. Again, I'm not saying do this every time, but for example, the closest one I would equate to what I think you guys are trying to do is what Port Arthur did. They went through, looked at their standards, looked at their goals, developed a logo, a brand, and then how to implement that, and they did it with their first gateways and signage piece. So that went through that process that you see at the top there. So it can be a long process depending on what you're trying to do, but it really comes down to where you want to start from. Because one thing I wanted to bring up when I pulled a little bit of information to bring these questions to you guys, that's where I was trying to get to is who are you and what are you trying to do relative to say wayfinding and signage. So I pulled some just representative images. When you Google Freeport, this is kind of the stuff, the range of stuff that you get, right? And then when you talk about brand and you Google Freeport, I get 7 different logos and different things. So the question is there a reason to unify? Is there a reason to take another look and start from a beginning and look at the whole thing as a big picture? Because if you don't and you start doing wayfinding signage, this is what I mentioned to these guys, is that if somebody doesn't like this or you don't like it in 2 years, do you really want to go back and start over again and spend money, good money after bad, as they would say? And this is exactly what Port Arthur did. They looked at all of this, and the one big thing that I mentioned when it comes to stuff that's in the environment, for example, like this logo is really hard to represent in an environmental graphic, for example. Works really good on the internet, works really good on paper and things like that, but that's going to be really, really difficult to transform into something that's, you know, 3-dimensional or something you can read at 70 miles an hour, things like that. So that's just some questions I would pose to you, because I'm trying to provide as much information as I can, and I'm sorry I'm doing this in a quick fashion. But going back to what you guys have mentioned in your strategic plan, you mentioned this stuff a lot in different ways, between improvements of streetscape, adding brand, bringing in signage and wayfinding and things like that. So you've captured a lot of what I think this is all talking about in your strategic plan. Just the question is, do you want to try to think about it as one holistic thing and go for it that way, so that you're providing projects and implementation of things that's not just necessarily a one-off or something that you're going to go back and try to redo? So I pulled some of that information here just to kind of say that I'm trying to tie it back to what you guys have, I think, already thought about, but I'm showing you maybe a roadmap and different ways you could potentially do what you're showing in some of this planning.
Can you go over the different phases? So like, you know, phase 1, I guess, you know, how we do that, and
Yep.
then down to the final phase.
Yeah, so let me back up to some of this part here where I had that first piece. And that's what this was really trying to show, was that first little, this one right here. So when I was talking about the process that we follow, so what what Port Arthur did, because like I said, I think it's pretty close to an example of what you guys may be trying to do, is we went and sat with them, worked with their groups, worked with their committee they put together on this product, and they brought in people from the convention district, they brought in people from the port, they brought in people from the city, they brought in the EDC group. They had a group of people like that, and we did a couple different workshops and talked about, well, what does it mean? And we then took that information, went back and kind of tried to develop a story relative to the information we were provided, information we found, the history that you guys have. And then from there, once we all kind of landed on a direction for what that was, we developed, you know, this kind of level of signage family. And I also looked at costs. We also looked at locations. So we did a whole big study, and I'll have copies of this you guys can flip through if you want, that show where we think we could do certain things, certain signage, certain pieces and parts. So that top half is basically what I would say it was step 1. It was basically creating a city master plan of signage, wayfinding, locations with some budgeting and phasing opportunities. From there, they took that and decided, hey, okay, we want to do phase 1, it's X, Y, Z. And we say, okay, well, that's based on approximately this budget. So then we go into more what I would call the develop stage, which is we're taking those pieces that you guys want to do from that program, and we start to try to implement them. So we do surveys, we get engineers, we get structural engineers. If we're doing landscape, we're doing plant, it depends on what we're doing in that program. We develop a set of drawings that can then be bid, permitted, and built. And then ultimately, we work through the contractor that's awarded to that contract. We work with them through construction phase services to get that implemented, whatever that phase 1 is that you want out of that master plan. But then you still have the master plan to go forward for however long you want to, phase it out and do it.
So you're saying that we can go from phase one, which is the study, and then at the end, you have contractors that you say, okay, this is what they want to do. So like if we were to say every year, we wanted to spend 150,000 on different signage.
Yep.
We would contact you and say, hey, here's what we want, here's the budget, send us the invoice, and then you would contact the fabricators to get this done? How would that work?
Well, it depends on what it is. So if it's strictly just a sign, like if it's like some of these that you see in this page, like everything on this end down here, that's virtually once we've done a plan for you to tell you, hey, on these, you would, like if you're doing trailhead, you would always do this kind of sign. Well, if you're doing 5 trailheads in this year, with that type of sign, you could just contact the fabricator with the graphic that you have and get them done. I usually get involved more when you have the larger monument signs, because I need, surveys, structural engineers, lighting, that kind of stuff. It's
I have
when
a
they get
couple
more
of
complicated
questions.
yeah.
What we're looking at is most of the stuff you're doing is preparatory. You're not looking at, you're doing the signage and what it's gonna look like and those kind of things from an architectural basis.
Yeah,
And
we have,
secondly, what you're telling me is that you contract or sub out all the other pieces of that. Is that not correct?
we only design, yes.
Okay.
And then
And
we
so
bid things.
those steps would be, first, we need to pick out the location. Second, we need to do the development stage, get the structure, what we're gonna do if there's, if we put wind, stuff like that,
Yeah.
that we're looking at. And then you guys have got subcontractors that go out and we find those guys, well, maybe on your recommendation or whatever, and then we build those signs. And then we install them. Now, the other piece that I have a question about is the landscaping. That's the same thing. You give us a rendition of what you want for the landscaping, and then we go in and find somebody to do that.
Well-
Or you have recommendations of people to do that.
So let me clarify one thing. So typically we would do drawings and we would issue that out to bid, because it would be most likely you want to do that as a public bid to get the best bids.
Gotcha. Okay,
So
makes sense.
we're bidding those projects, we don't have contractors I have contractors I can contact to give it to them, but typically you guys wouldn't do that. You would want to bid them.
But you would set it up, do the
Yeah,
bid
we would
process.
do all the work for you.
Okay, I get it. I
And then
understand.
once the contractor's on board and they have a contract with you guys, we become your representative to make sure they're building it per the drawings that's been given to them.
And the installation phase of the same way, lighting,
Yep,
if it's electrical,
everything.
all that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
because we have the sub consultants that do all those drawings and all that work to make sure that they're bidding the project correctly. And then
Okay.
if there's permitting involved, we submit them the permit and get them permitted
Got
too.
it, okay.
We just don't build anything. We're designers.
Yeah, I think, we were all just trying to figure out, what the methodology and what the
Yeah.
protocols were and what you do and what you don't do and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are strictly designers, and we provide all the documentation you would need to get something built, and then we work with the contractors that is selected to build it, and we can help you select that contractor, or you can select that contractor, you can pick a vendor, you can do whatever you want with that, because I
Is
know,
your help work, is it on a cost plus basis or how does that work?
depending on what you're asking for, usually we try to submit lump sum
Okay,
proposals
okay, good.
based on whatever the scope is. So that was part of the conversation that we had, because I kept asking, I was like, so what's the scope you want me to write a proposal for? If you don't necessarily know, we could do an hourly contract to help you guys figure out what that is, but, it just depends on what you want. This can go 1,000 different directions, and
Yeah.
that's why I was trying to provide as much information as I could, because I don't necessarily know what you guys have in your head, what you're thinking.
Yeah, and we're, in true to form, we were trying to get our head wrapped
Yeah.
around, how we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
What the process would be, so.
And I think that the main things, and Dan, correct me if I'm wrong or guide me if I'm saying something wrong here, are looking at our entryways and the landscape architecture that would be needed for that, and then also signage. Our signage is abysmal. And perhaps the one that you pointed out, the logo, is very busy. I fully agree with you, and we've all seen it. And maybe looking at designing a logo that fits, right there, the one on the left, that would, we can paint on the water tower or something like that. I'm not saying we do that now, but just the logo itself. I think those are the three areas, and Dan shaking his head yes. And did I miss any?
No, I mean, that's primarily it. I just thought that, you know, the discussion would take place, between this board and council
Right.
about, you know, what the image, you know, the presentation that would be put on signs, that would be put on the water tower, that
Yep.
would be put at the entrance. I think that's sort of your first step, you know, is imaging. And then from there, I think that dictates a lot, like, okay, we'll need to replace a sign at the entryway. And then we know now what our signs need to look like that come from the entryway, say the Second Street down to downtown. And bring this on in a phased aspect so that people can kind of see, the progress that's going on, be engaged in the conversations. I'm sure there'll be public meetings about where people can voice their opinion on the images, because it is a bit confusing. So, you know, what do we want to put forward to the public? And then that would dictate our signage, and that would dictate the gateway coming into the city, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
It just seems like the sort of process, a logical process to take.
And that's, when you look at that one slide I showed with the timeframes, a lot of those early timeframes, those seem like a really long time, but if you factor in public meetings and workshops with groups and things like that, it's a lot more time than you think, because then you're really probably only meeting monthly, and then you have time in between where you're trying to develop the stuff. Mr. President, what I handed you was Port Arthur had a very similar thing. They had multiple logos. So we looked at their history, we looked at that, and then how do we condense them into something that could be, still say the same thing, but have a little bit more way to be translated into all medias, not just paper or that. But you're exactly right, because that's why we try to push to do the master planning piece ahead of time, because then you guys have a document, whether I'm here or not, and if you say 2 years, 5 years down the road, I want to build 5 more of these signs, you already have an idea where they should be, and you have an idea what they look like. So you have a good starting point. You don't want to keep restarting this process over and over and over again, because it'll give you a headache.
Yeah, I know, you know, poor planning always precedes poor performance, so, yeah, definitely. Well, I've got a better grasp on it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time.
No?
Mr. Tyner, you got anything?
No?
I think, yeah, I'm getting.
Sorry, that was a
ready.
lot of info, I know. I was trying to get through as quickly as possible.
You did good. I think I need one of those for Mr. Botman, because he's one of those guys that'll peruse this to the extent.
Well, I do have 2 copies of this presentation, and I can send a digital version.
Well, we get this back to
Send
you.
us
I
the
mean,
digital version, and we can get it out to you. And if you have a hard copy that you can have, that'd be great.
yeah, he's right.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Miller, if you've got a digital version of that, you could send that to Mr. Botman there.
Just send it to us, and then we'll send it out.
Let me send it to you, because that's got extra stuff on it. I probably need to take some of that with me.
And Miss Louisa here, she's gonna tell us whether it's pretty or not, so. That's what we want.
Yep.
I really appreciate what you did,
Okay.
and Robert, thank you for doing this, because we all know that, you know, the face of Freeport, the wayfinding piece of it, just the signage is so important
Yeah.
to establishing, you know, a piece of what your integrity is in a city.
And you guys have
So-
started it, because coming in on 288, that bridge has a statement to it.
Yeah.
To me, that there's just, you know, can we maybe do that earlier, like where you make the decision to come into Freeport on 288 and it makes the big Y? Can that be a spot to stay first? That's what, I just took a little quick look at the aerial and looked at where people come in on the major freeways. That's what this is showing, just to kind of think about where people come into the city from the north and a little bit from the side. So, but again, there's a whole lot of study that could go involved and look at all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. President, I'm not sure if a motion is necessary tonight. You may disagree. But I think that moving forward, Dan and I need to meet and discuss how we're going to move forward, but we're gonna, is everybody in agreement? And Lauren, help me out if we do need a motion. Is everybody in agreement that we move forward in discussion, at least with Clark Condon?
At this point, I
so.
don't think a
I
motion
you
is
can get a
required.
confirmation from
Okay.
everybody here that says, yeah,
Okay.
we we can table this, you guys get together, get some stuff going on, because we all know how important this is to the city.
Okay,
Yeah,
go
'cause
ahead, David.
If you guys can tell me what you want, what you're thinking, I can definitely develop a proposal that includes the scope and everything that backs it up and get it to you to actually discuss and have a motion of anything. Yeah, whatever you need.
David?
Yeah, just, so long as we have the knowledge that if we're gonna change the logos, brands, colors, we need to do that prior to anything else.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, before making the sign.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert,
So-
get to your, that rendition you showed me today.
Yeah,
You
I
happen to have
had
that?
it and I can't find it now. Rachel and I were both frantic. I stuffed it in here somewhere, but, it's something Ashley made. Here, no, I do have it.
Take a look at, see, this is some of the things that, you're exactly right. Look at that rendition there. Got
Yeah.
the boat, the bridge, and the whole
Right.
thing, even though the colors aren't what we would go.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah, I
David,
like
you're
it.
right.
It's a lot simpler.
We get what we want, and then we
And
get,
then their company can
yeah,
do it all around. Every time somebody sees that certain color of sign, they know that has some city information on it.
so you're my appointed guy for taking, you be the liaison for us and get that.
I can do it.
You
This
like
has
that
been a
kind of stuff.
process, been a long time, so.
So,
I
Yeah,
don't know, I mean, yeah, I
I
just
would,
thought it was kinda
don't worry
cute,
about
though.
it. I mean, once we get into it, if you really want us to help, like well, we have graphic designers that work with that. You provide us what you want the look and feel to be, we could get you to a design that would work based on that. So,
Yeah.
don't fret over it. We can get there.
And this isn't the final idea, this is just an
Just
idea
one,
somebody
yeah.
had in
No,
the
no,
city.
but the information like that, if people have ideas and people have feedback like that, so, cause I mean, there's plenty of ways to generate that if that's what everybody loves, so.
Yeah,
And
Good deal.
Lauren said we don't need a motion, we just, in principle, will move forward as directed by the board.
let's do it.
And I'll leave
Correct.
that one bound one and these other bound versions that were kind of portions in here, if you guys wanna flip through them. If you don't mind, the ones that are bound, if I can get those back for
Yeah.
sometime,
Do we
that'd be
have
great. But the ones that are stapled, those are yours.
As long as you promise to send me the
No,
electronic that you
I'll
just.
send it to you tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I have other stuff on that thing and I would give it
Yeah,
to you.
that way I can generate it to the board and get it out
Good.
to everybody.
Okay.
Other questions?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Mr. Miller, thank you so
Yeah,
much for
appreciate it, guys.
that presentation.
Thank you.
And you don't have to stay if you don't want to.
I actually have a drive, I have to go, I live in Sugar Land, I gotta drive back.
We're moving on, item number 6,
Okay.
thank you. I did, yeah. Item number 6, discuss and take possible action on roof replacement for 301 West Brazos, the house on the stilts.
I've got questions. It's been tossed back and forth that there's a good possibility that if a developer comes in there, they're gonna tear it down. So why spend money on a roof?
Good question.
Well, here's my question, and you're much more knowledgeable about building than I am, but I've been told multiple times now that we need a new roof. It's been estimated by professionals that we need a new roof, and what was told to me is, why let it deteriorate and then possibly fall in
Right.
and we have plenty of money in our capital outlay account. Right now, we have $400,000 for this year that we haven't touched a penny of to do such a thing.
I was just curious.
Yeah,
That's a good point. I'm not arguing that. Well,
Talk about the entire property
Yeah.
in general.
Well, if you're gonna sell it to the developer, you're assuming he's gonna knock it down, right?
say that again?
You're assuming the developer's gonna knock that down, because he's not gonna build around that one house.
Right,
Right.
right.
So, yeah, why would you replace the roof if it's gonna go to crap? It's gonna go to crap, just because I have the money there doesn't even make it look pretty, it's not gonna make it sell, they're gonna rip it down.
So
I'm just talking, like, that was a good idea, like, if it was mine, I wouldn't do it, you'll never get that money back.
I had actually been by the house, hadn't heard about it, so Robert had told me,
Feel free to speak into your mic.
yes.
I could hear you, but that's.
So that's okay. So I had actually been by that house, and, you know, again, this comes back to Mr. McGinty's earlier deal about, you know, Freeport never takes care of anything. Well, we go back to that house. If you drive by that house, it's not a couple of shingles off that house. And it's extremely disappointing that we don't maintain our buildings. And mold seems to be the biggest issue time and time and time again. I'm dealing with it in 4 different buildings. And so here we are trying to be proactive and put a roof on it. You know, my guess would be, say, $25,000. I just put a roof on my house. It's not that big. It might be
Less.
25.
Less than that.
Yeah. And so it might be $25,000, okay? If someone is gonna come in there and tear it down, I haven't heard any plans, you know, that are hot about someone coming in there to tear it down. I mean, it's always a possibility, but the development along the river hasn't gone at light speed yet.
Yeah.
To be kind. So I just think it's just to protect our investment. If someone comes up and they do want to buy it or they want to build around it, the roof is going to add value to it, and they're going to have to pay that value. So I just see it as trying to protect our investment. That's it.
Okay, well, what is the goal for that property? Get rid of the whole thing?
Get rid of the whole thing as far
Sell
as.
the whole thing, get it off the EDC? Is that what the goal is?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna sell the property, I'm not sure it's gonna sell without the roof. It's in pretty bad shape. I mean, if you're talking about tearing the property down and developing it, then that would be something different. But if someone,
Yeah, I'm just having an open discussion. I'm
Yeah.
wondering, what is your ultimate goal? And do you have what are the markets available for that? If you're not gonna sell the house or the portion of the lot separate, and you want it all to go together, then you have to go, well, what's somebody gonna do with that entire property?
yeah, I mean, I just found out about a week ago that y'all had a house. So I haven't heard any plans about developing or tearing down that house with the property around it. I don't know what else is around it. Can you?
We've had people look at that house for offices. We currently have one person looking at it for office space. Of course, it would need to be kind of a niche office because you've only got the stairs that go up. It's probably not going to be a retail store that has a lot of traffic. But we have had people look at it for offices. The other point that I'd make, and I don't want to go too far down this road in open session, but currently the 8.8 acres is under litigation. And so, you know, there's just one big question mark about what's going to happen. But again, I understand your point, Gary, and I hear you. But I also am thinking we don't want this to just deteriorate while we're in this holding pattern that we're in due to the litigation.
Review for me, what are the options in that litigation?
We can discuss that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
Now does that house on stills, is that part of the 8.8? Is that
Yes.
on the 8.8?
It is on the 8.8 acres.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, and so, you know, like I said, I'm just concerned, because if you go look at that roof, I mean, I've eaten outriggers a couple of times now since I've been here, and you can look at the roof, and it's not just in bad shape. It's missing chunks of shingles. I told him that, you know, I'm really not surprised that we haven't had water in it or needed tarps on it. It's that bad. It really is.
That's true.
And Mr. President, one point that I'd make, we do have a representative from JACO tonight that would like to discuss it, if it's your pleasure.
Yeah, I'm going to give you my 2 cents. The building itself is in excellent shape. I've been in it 3 or 4 times. I talked to a couple other guys about taking it off the stilts and moving that facility, which is definitely doable. So there's some thoughts about it. Yeah, the 8.8 acres, we definitely would like to see some development done there. Would that house be a part of that development or not? I have no idea. And I understand what Dave's thoughts are about, you know, spending good money after bad and that sort of thing. But my take on it is I think it's a good thing to do it. And I think we listened to Mr. Jaco here come up and tell us, you know, how much money we're looking at and the outlay of that. And, that's my take.
Okay.
And if I can just add as well, you know, just for y'all to have consideration, I know having code enforcement here at the police department, when we have code goes out to make contact with individuals, it's often the comment is made, well, the city or the EDC doesn't take care of their property, so why should we take care of ours? And so, I mean, that, you know, that has been a bit of a battle that code has dealt with sometimes, because residents will point out certain properties, and this property is one that's been pointed out, you know, before by residents. So just something to keep in consideration for that.
And just one other quick note, you know, there is a theory in law enforcement, they refer to it frequently as broken windows. And when you let something deteriorate, all it does is accelerate the deterioration around it. So again, if we're coming back to wanting to try to clean things up or improve our culture, our appearance, our quality of life here, it's just another, you know, step in that direction.
Mr. Jaco?
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
Wayne Parker?
Wayne?
Yes, sir. Good to see you again. How are you, Ron? Doing good, thank you.
So you know all these guys. I know you know them because I saw that church y'all did.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what's up, Wayne.
Well, we were asked to go out and assess the shingle roof on the house on stilts, and it's in really bad shape. Constant exposure, age, it's brittle, it is missing shingles, very deteriorated, gonna get worse. Take care of the roof, the rest of it is gonna be just fine. So we came in with a limited lifetime warranty, Tamco architectural, kinda looks like a wood shake shingle. Windstorm approved, our windstorm engineers, typically Matt Sebesta. And we're just asking for consideration, for the re-roof project. And then at that point, if we move forward, we would just need a single color pick. Something
How
that-
much money are you talking about?
Next page.
16,
A lot less than everyone thought.
16,475.
Yes, sir.
Does that include decking repairs?
Sir?
Yes.
That includes up to 2 sheets. Don't know what we're gonna find.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I get a point. And that's, you're putting new, metal around the roof.
Yes,
All
new
that.
drip edge around there,
Gonna put
synthetic
strip edge.
underlayment, everything to code.
What about some of the fascia board if it's messed up?
Take
That's
a look
extra.
at, we'll take a look at it, yes, sir,
Ah.
yes, sir. I didn't physically see any fascia board damage, but as we start roofing, we'll get a little closer.
You've been on top of that roof?
Yes, sir.
What's it got on it right now?
Yeah.
I don't know what shingle it is, but it's,
Underneath the shingles.
felt underlayment,
So it's
not
probably
synthetic.
235 or 240s
Yeah.
probably?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got quite a bit of age to it.
It's not leaking yet, is it? Like inside?
I don't know, that I don't know.
Has anybody been in there lately?
Yeah, yes, we had the locks changed and there was no visible sign of
When was that?
any damage.
How recently was that?
That was a week ago.
That was last week.
Yep.
Yeah, 'cause I met the guy
Yep.
over there.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Wayne, thank you, man. I appreciate your
Yes, sir.
efforts.
Thank y'all.
Mr. President, as I said, we have $400,000 in our capital outlay. It's the pleasure of the board, what you want to do with this situation.
I mean, I'd like to protect the envelope, just so we don't end up with a lot of old mildew inside there. It just doesn't make any sense to me to let that happen.
I'll entertain a motion to, spend the 16,475, which has a windstorm approval and, 2 sheets of 4x8 in case we have to have it for deck. And also put a drip edge all the way around the outside.
Yep.
I entertain a motion for that.
And I'd move. I think the price is okay. I know Jayco's okay. I've worked with them. I've even had serious warranty work with them. They came out and just stood up and saluted and just, yes, sir.
Good.
They worked with the,
Do I have a second?
I'll second
Well, can I,
Gary seconds that.
is there a question?
Is there
Can I still have a
discussion?
question or no?
Still got discussion.
Well, I just have a question. So I know we're approving the 16,475, but I know you said once you, that's like any construction, once you get in there, you're gonna find something. So once you get in there, at what point do you come back to us if you need more money? How does that work?
Come back up to the mic if you would, please. Yep, thank you, Wayne.
Good question.
So if there is a point where we find more than 2 sheets of decking that needs to be replaced, or some fascia board or soffit, which I haven't seen, we would contact you immediately. I mean, absolutely immediately, photos, pricing for that. I don't expect that to happen.
Okay.
We do this all day, every day, and walking around that property, I know what's bad. I don't think we have any fascia board bad.
Okay.
The
All right.
soffit looks good. The vents are in the soffit. They're all there.
So we should be,
I think we're,
follow
I think we're,
information, we should be good there.
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good
And
question.
if you think there's a good possibility that we might find something, you know,
Mhm.
5%, 10%, I wouldn't mind going ahead and changing the motion to 18, 19,000, something like that, you know, up to that.
Up to?
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's say up to 19,000. And, you do your best to bring it in under.
Absolutely.
What is there, is that?
Yes, you need to retract your original motion
Okay.
Does that,
and the second.
does that building have a ridge vent on it?
Sir?
Does that building have a
All the
ridge
vents are
vent?
at perimeter. Yes, sir.
Okay. And are there vents in the soffit as well as through the roof?
Yeah.
Because that's important.
Ron, you want to take back that,
Yeah, let me
rescind
take
that
back
motion?
that motion.
So we had, I entered, oh, go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I would, just didn't know if it had a ridge vent on it. That was sure. Thanks.
So then I would make a new motion that we approve up to 19,000. And go with that.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I just wanted to clarify my point there. I'm not against doing it. I just was trying to get all the viewpoints out there, that's all.
Yeah, I know. I think we all understand that.
And I agree with that. I mean,
Yeah, it's,
I wouldn't throw good money after bad,
Right.
or even bad money after bad. But if there's a possibility that that place is gonna be used for something,
Right.
I don't wanna get, you know, half or 10% of what its value was just because we let it go pot. And, you know, my air conditioning experience has taught me that if you can't keep that temperature at 78 degrees or below inside, then you're gonna have mold and mildew. And it never just has a little, it gets worse and worse and worse. And I don't wanna put air conditioning in there.
yeah. Any further discussion? I can call the vote. All those in favor vote aye.
Sure.
All those opposed vote nay. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne,
Yes, sir.
for your efforts.
Yes, sir. I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Miss Louisa. Discuss and take possible action on purchase items for the upcoming Halloween event number 7.
Yes, this is, Sandra, would you just like to take it away?
Oh,
This is your favorite thing right here.
I didn't know I was gonna speak. I brought this up on our last meeting. I was just wanting we participated and helped last year for this, and it was greatly appreciated. So the city of Freeport will be hosting the Fright Night again, October the 23rd, which is a Thursday at the River Place. It's like the Kids Fest, actually. It's pretty awesome. So if I'm guessing, we probably had about 1,000, at least 1,000, probably even more people come through there for the 3 hours, which is 6 to 9. So as you can see, candy is quite expensive. So we use every bit of it. So of course, the city of Freeport donates candy as well, and we had the trunk or treat on the other side, but I must tell you, you would think that there would be plenty of candy, but everybody runs out of candy. So, with the expense of how much everything is, I was wanting to see if we could participate and help with that again this year. I think if you could tell me, Robert, I think we did either $300 or $400 last year.
Yes.
Do you remember?
I want to say it was $400.
Yeah. So that's what I'm asking, to see if we could help with that again for the Fright Night for the city of Freeport.
And this would come out of marketing, and we have plenty of money in our marketing fund for just this type of thing. It's a qualified and eligible expenditure.
Does anybody have any questions on it?
We get Ron to make the motion up to.
That's what I was thinking.
That's a good one.
Start with one number, but you pay another.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that on that, because I knew that's what happens. So,
Is candy still at the same price, or do we maybe need to bump it up?
oh, no, it's expensive. I mean, everything's gone up.
Sandra?
I don't know. If,
No.
you know, if we could do at least 400 or 500, that would be greatly appreciated, whatever y'all want to give.
Mr. Bachman?
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
500?
Yeah. Up to what?
Up to 501.
Okay.
I mean,
Any
it's like
further
you said,
discussion?
if the thing's really successful and you got a lot of people show up, you're gonna run out of candy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Right, and
That
we
comes
know
into
that's
the-
gonna happen, but,
Yeah.
you know, there's not a unlimited of everything, so we do know that, but, and we are gonna run out, and the thing is that this is the 4th year, I believe, with the city of Freeport, maybe the 5th, but, it's just gonna be, it's getting bigger and bigger every year, and then this year we'll have signage in the front entrance of the city. So usually we have a signage in the front of the boat, the ship, in the front of the park. But this year we have the massive signage that will be put on the entrance, and it's gonna be in the facts. So it's gonna be magnified even more. So, which is great, because it's not just Freeport, which we love Freeport, but there's people coming from so many cities. It's crazy, and we want this presentation. It's a safe environment for our kids. The parents are with them. It's amazing. So y'all need to come out on that Thursday. You would be amazed.
We want to run out of candy at 8:45.
Not at 6:45.
Yeah.
So do we have, how have we done in previous years as far as when we run out?
We just start running. We start pacing. We start with maybe 2 or 3 candies, and we go to one candy.
Is I guess what I'm asking, is 500 enough?
I mean, I don't want to be, 500, we take whatever we can get. So 500 would be amazing. Yeah, that's good.
500 is good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get to the point to where the people that are there when you run out of candy, woulda, shoulda, coulda come earlier.
There you go.
We're standing in line for a long time.
Well, we had that experience at Kid Fest.
Yeah.
You know, we were handing out our swag, our cups and things that we have at the EDC, and they were gone. And hot dogs were gone.
Yeah,
It was gone.
right.
And I'm just saying, I agree with you. We, as you saw with the budget, and thank you for making that point, you know, we have a fiduciary obligation to manage this money, but at the same time, to get the most bang for our buck and not embarrass ourselves by running out 5 minutes into the event.
Right. Got you. So,
I entertain a motion.
so was $501?
Nah, I'm gonna hold you to 500. So I'll make a motion that we allow $500
There you go.
for candy for the,
Mr. Bachman, do I have a second?
I'll second it. I like candy.
Jerry has a second. Any other discussion? Call to vote. All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
I like candy. All those opposed, vote nay. passes unanimously again. There you go.
Thank you.
Number 8, discuss and take possible action on infrastructure improvements.
Mr. President, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, we pretty much discussed this during the TERS meeting. And so I don't know if is there anything else that,
No, I'll bring that River Place, repaint back after I get a couple of questions. Sorry. No. I'll bring the River Place repainting after I get a few questions, answered, and, then I'll just bring it back to your next meeting.
Okay, super
and,
good.
and the,
Thank you.
and the targeted infrastructure map, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
the valves,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, any other discussion there? It is now, what is it? 8:10? Is that close enough? 8:12, and I hereby recess the regular session of the Freeport Economic Development Corporation meeting and do hereby convene into executive session in compliance with Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and 551.0